In this video, I'll show you how mark making with your brush can add an expressive flair to your watercolors. This is a good exercise in getting to know your brushes and all of the different ways that you can use them. In this first video, I'm using a number 8 round by Princeton, the Neptune series of brushes. And if you have a scratch piece of watercolor paper, just practice making both thin and thick lines with your brush. This will help establish that light pressure feel and that heavy pressure, which will give you thin and thick lines. To make leaf shapes, I start with just the tip of the brush using very light pressure, and then I pull across the paper while pushing down on the belly of the brush. And then I lift up again to create that pointed end. And you can do this in different ways by curving your leaf shapes instead of just making them straight. But this is a very sort of a mesmerizing way of painting, an intuitive way of painting. Another fun trick is to simply push the side of your brush into the paper to create tiny rounded leaf shapes. I sometimes use these marks when making patterns of my floral watercolors. You'll see that I turn my hand in different directions so that the tiny shapes are pointing every which way. So you can see that there are many unique shapes you can make with just a round brush. And one of the other key things that I think is important is that I'm using my arm to make a motion rather than just my hand. You'll see that I drag my arm fluidly across as I'm moving the brush, and this helps to create a more fluid line, a straighter line. It just helps me have a little bit more control. Now let's move on to these fall florals, where I primarily used some filbert brushes in different sizes. I did use some pointed rounds as well, but these filbert brushes are really just flat brushes with a rounded shape, so they are perfect for petals. Now in this floral painting, the first layer is completely dry, and now I'm going in with just some darker accents. And I'm using the side of the filbert brush and the edges to create these thin lines. And then if I push down on the flat part of the brush, I get these thicker lines. So it's this variation of thin and thick and richer, darker detail that adds a lot of nice contrast with these flowers. I think adding these little brush marks in the end really gives these flowers this hand-painted feel, which I think is something that's sought after now in the surface design industry, where I do a lot of illustrating. And so I think these little marks and the ability to do some mark making will really enhance your flowers, especially if you work in surface design like I do.